Marian Tonea. I'm the IT production manager here at Massive, and I coordinate the infrastructure team that handles the online infrastructure for the games developed here at Massive.
And I'm Jan Harasym. I am one of the online infrastructure engineers here at Massive, working with Marian on global deployment of the game. The Division 2 is a multi-studio project headed by Massive, but with teams all across the world. We have teams in Newcastle called Reflections. We have Leamington, also in the UK. We have North Carolina with Red Storm, who are incredibly talented. We also have Annecy, Sofia, and Bucharest, all contributing to the project at various levels.
Also Shanghai.
Also Shanghai.
And let's not forget i3D.
Definitely not forget i3D. So pretty much as soon as the game is greenlit, so the developers are going to come up with a concept, and they're going to come to us mostly as kind of a feasibility check. Like, are our thoughts on this matter true to reality? Like, can we have this clock speed or this bandwidth or this memory consumption? Can we have it scaling in this way? So we try to guide them in a direction, but the reality is we usually get involved truly at the first technical test of the infrastructure when it's actually global. Well, stability of the infrastructure, so power and networking, is obviously incredibly crucial. Availability of hardware is also a very strong factor. We want consistent hardware because we want a consistent experience across the planet. Expertise of the engineers and access to those engineers is also absolutely paramount. I mean, we're delivering a game as a service. It's not something that we can welch on or just throw over to someone else. It's a collaborative effort, so that's incredibly important.
It's the most important part, or it's an important part because you want to provide a good service to players. Players want to play the game, so if you have an outage or low latency, that means a very bad experience, and the players are paying for that, and they are very, how do you say?
They can be very unhappy with a very poor
Yes.
experience, of course.
Yeah.
So I can speak about this
Yeah.
specifically because I was part of the original team making the decision on which hosting partner to use for Division 1. And for the Division 2, it was very much the same as Division 1, except i3D. Our collaboration with i3D had evolved so much that it was very obviously the choice we would go for in future. It was a very competent engineering task force. It was very good collaboration. It was very good hardware. And no one in the whole company has anything negative to say about the experience. So.
I'll also add that the fact that from the experience of the first game launch, when i3D sent some people over here to help us ship the game.
Yeah, they came on site.
Yeah,
they sat with us when we launched the game.
And they repeated, or the expectation was that this will happen again during the launch of the Division 2, which, by the way, happened. And not only they sent one person, but they sent two people, and for an extended period of time. So they basically blended here in with our team. And I think part of the success of the launch was the fact that they came here.
And they were engineers. They weren't salespeople. They weren't just proxies or envoys. I mean, these were real engineers, the cream of the crop. It's good.
So as the volume of players, looking back at the Division 1, we
realized it's quite inaccurate of a model.
Yeah, so it's forecasting for the number of players for a new game is very difficult, and it can come with errors. So we were adopting this different model to create the baseline of players landing on physical servers in i3D and addressing the burst the excess number of players with bursting in cloud.
Yeah. We very much relied on the flexibility of i3D in these situations because the projections change very quickly and rapidly over time when you get feedback from the alphas and the betas and the marketing departments. So it's very much a multifaceted effort.
And it's also very difficult to forecast for events like free weekends or different promotions. You never know what you're gonna get out of them. So that's why it's a evolved process from the Division 1. To start with the delivery of the servers, i3D, as in the case of the Division 1, they delivered in time and they delivered our required configuration servers, even though it was a bit difficult for them. Then operationally wise, they were very transparent. We have a very good collaboration and communication with i3D at all levels. We have a communication channel that we share, and every time we have an incident or an issue or even a question, the answer is very quickly, and therefore the turnaround is very good. Especially what I want to mention is that during the launch, in both cases, the Division 1 and the Division 2, they sent people here, and highly skilled people actually, who embedded in the team and helped us launch the game, which I think is a good help with a successful launch.
The goals for this deployment, I mean, in terms of massive, we knew we wanted to be using the new provisioning API from i3D, and we wanted to extend it or help them extend it to support more operating systems, the ones we specifically wanted to use, and that was very forthcoming and very helpful, and we managed to do that. We also knew we wanted to be using the managed firewall system solutions from i3D.net. They were incredibly capable before on networking, so we felt incredibly confident just giving them control of our firewalls and giving them the responsibility of maintaining that on our behalf. We were very confident in i3D's ability to deliver a very good experience for the players, so we knew we wanted the majority of people being on i3D servers and only bursting into cloud in the absolute worst case scenario. So from an infrastructure perspective, there are actually quite a few stages. The first stage you can think of is like a feasibility test, a technical test, an external test, which we deploy a very small footprint in 3 largely disparate regions in the world, and hire an outsourced company to play on those machines and gather feedback about how things are actually operating. Is the game even playable in that scenario? Can they matchmake with each other, for instance? Right? It's more like a test of proof of concept, and that happens very early. But then we build on that infrastructure over time as we approach sort of the alpha version of the game, the first version that will actually really let players have their access to. But before we get to that stage, we need to certify the environment. We need to get it certified by Sony and Microsoft, the people who control distribution of Sony and PlayStation, Sony PlayStation and Microsoft Xbox. So we allow them to play. And then we have a select group of people a large group of actual players who will play on the alpha version of the game and report any bugs they have. This is also a very good test of us, for us, because we're able to tell other CPU usage patterns within the parameters we expect. Is the memory usage within parameters? Is the bandwidth performing the way we expect, and things like this. After that point, we start approaching the betas, and the betas are much larger. We deploy more footprints across the world. We have mostly the situation we will have for live already configured. and we start ramping up the amount of servers we have quite considerably. And we have 2 stages of beta. We have a closed beta and an open beta. And the closed beta is the first stage where we kind of give the game to people who we think will be not critical of us in the media just for no reason. You know, we have bugs. It's a beta version of the game, and we're hoping to find the bugs before we launch the game. But some people maybe don't appreciate that very much. So we give it to them. We try and find the bugs where we can. We fix them. We give the game to more people. And the open beta is a very, very full-scale test. It's almost the size of live in terms of the concurrency. That's the last chance we have to find any really game-changing bugs, game-breaking bugs, to really validate our monitoring systems, to validate our bandwidth considerations, to validate absolutely everything that goes into making a huge online game like this. So at that point, we have a very short window between the open beta and the live environment, the live game. And then we really rely on our partners, i3D in this case, to be incredibly flexible, incredibly fast in adapting to our needs. Maybe the networking is not working as we expect, we need significantly more. Maybe we need significantly more servers in regions, or maybe even in one case the hard drive performance was very poor in one area, so we had to send data center technicians to go and replace thousands of hard drives in a weekend. You know, it's really that rapid at that point. So it's quite a lot of stages and a lot of challenges between them. So.
In the Division 2, we deployed more locations because we wanted to be closer to the players. And the 2 regions that we added were South America and Middle East. And then altogether our 10, we have servers in 10 regions.
Yeah, so a summary of the Division 2 launch was pretty flawless from an infrastructure perspective, and we're very happy with how everything went.
We didn't have any major incident.
Yeah.
No players complaints on the infrastructure side. Latency was good.
We managed to serve all the players who wanted to be served. We didn't have any queues. It was very good. So the future of game hosting is going to be more automation, more API driven, more empowerment to development, less keys held by infrastructure. I think it's going to be all about enabling the next generation of games.
I mean, looking at the differences we have now in the Division 2 versus the Division 1 and how it evolved, it all leads to more automation, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the scale of these games is just immense. You can't even imagine. It's really is global. It's absolutely everywhere. I mean, it's only going to be more of that, more edge nodes, more in cities instead of in regions. You know.